Welcome to Biotic Goodbyes. Each week on our show, we spotlight species from the IUCN Critically Endangered Red List. These are plants and animals with decreasing populations, nearing the edges of extinction. We'll share species research, information, and conservation proposals, and then we'll spend part of the show opening a space for contemplation and awe. We'll improvise a soundscape of gentleness, of reflection, of delight, and maybe of grieving. Without conservation activity and significant societal shift, many of these species may not survive the 21st century. And so perhaps we might acknowledge their journey with a moment of our attention, a recognition of our kinship, and with a commitment to personal and systemic change. Thank you for listening. On today's show, we consider the Bandula Barb. The Bandula barb is a critically endangered freshwater fish native to South Asia, specifically western Sri Lanka, near Galapidamita in the Kalani River Basin. Its scientific name is Pethia bandula, and it was first described in 1991. It is a small fish, measuring 1.5 to 2 inches in length, so like roughly the size of your thumb. Their scales have either a reddish gold or yellowish gold coloration, marked by 2 black vertical stripes. One near the operculum, that's the hardened protective gill cover near the head, and the other stripe is near the rear, just before the tail fin. They have 7 fins, 2 pectoral fins, one on each side of the body just below the gills, a pair of pelvic fins on the underside of the body, an anal fin on the underside to the rear, a caudal fin. Caudal is the scientific name for the tail fin. And lastly, on its back, a dorsal fin that is hardened and serrated along its back edge. All of the fins are a deep gray-black, except for the caudal fin, the tail fin, which tends to be a lighter version of their base color that fades to completely translucent, see-through at the edges. The Bandula barb is benthopelagic, meaning they live and forage both near the stream bed, the benthic zone, and in the water above, the pelagic zone. Though, in this case, that is not like a huge range of depth. The species is found in the shallowest parts of its habitat, in waters less than 8 inches deep. And they do not migrate, completing their entire life cycle within the roughly 2-mile confines of their native stream, in which they prefer slow-moving, cooler, shaded waters. The Bandula Barb is primarily herbivorous, plant-eating, feeding on algae and microalgae. They are active foragers, actively moving through their home waters to graze algae from submerged rocks, decaying leaf litter on the stream bed, and from the root systems of aquatic and streamside plants. They do not have teeth in their mouths. Instead, they have specialized teeth in their throat called pharyngeal teeth. They also do not have stomachs, so food is ground up by the pharyngeal teeth and passes into a short esophagus that connects directly to their intestines. So instead of being broken down like in a stomach, nutrients are absorbed as the food moves through the intestines. And then waste is expelled from the cloaca, a digestive and reproductive opening near the anal fin. The Bandula Barb is a perennial spawner, meaning it reproduces throughout the year, though with 2 major spawning peaks from August to December and from February to March. These time periods are roughly opposite Western Sri Lanka's monsoon season, which is May to September. I could find no recorded observation of courtship behaviors, though males in closely related species like the black ruby barb do perform a kind of display for the female, spreading fins and swimming around a potential mate for extended periods. Reproduction occurs via external fertilization. So the female releases eggs into the water to then be fertilized by the male. The hundreds of eggs are deposited into the shallow edges of the stream among aquatic plants and root systems that provide protection and surfaces for the eggs to adhere to. After spawning is complete, the parents provide no protection or care for the eggs or the resulting offspring. Though not specifically documented, research suggests that the young reach reproductive maturity within about 15 months. In the dream, to have a perfect home. In the dream, a small apartment where every chair is the right height and the bed is soft but not mushy. There's bookshelves and big windows and a place to sit and stare out the window and dream. And the cupboard is stocked with soba noodles and popcorn and porridge, dried mango, red lentils, and quinoa. And the fridge has fruit and vegetables and greens, exactly the amount we need between now and the next farmer's market. There are notebooks to make lists in and write poems in, and all of our things have a place. And the bits that are messy in the ways we like messy to be. And there is something else, something ineffable. Just that a perfect home has to feel like home. And then, one day, through no fault of one's own, it's gone. It's gone and there's nowhere to go. In the dream. The Bandula Barb is native to western Sri Lanka in the Saburagamua province near Galapitamata in the Kalani River basin. This is roughly 25 miles northeast of Colombo and the Sri Lankan coast. The Bandula Barb is considered a point endemic species, so a species with a single population restricted to a single location, one highly specific ecosystem where it can survive. In our case, our Bandula Barb is found only in a roughly 2-mile stretch of a tiny, shallow, unnamed tributary that eventually feeds the Kalani River. The unnamed stream flows through a landscape encroached upon and transformed by human activity, passing near 3 small villages, through backyard gardens, rice fields, rubber plantations, secondary growth forests, and near road construction. Here, the Bandula Barb is found in slow-moving waters with a stream bed of silt, sand, small rocks, and decaying leaf and plant matter. Aquatic plants clump in the water, and stream banks are lined with trees, vegetation, and grasses. The Bandula Barb prefers shade. Researchers have documented greater abundance and congregation in cooler waters out of direct sunlight. Before human encroachment, the Barb's stream flowed through a rolling, hilly terrain covered by tropical lowland rainforest, tall dipterocarp trees with lush understory. And while pockets of that rainforest ecosystem do remain in the region, it is fragmented by predominantly agricultural land use. This is a tropical monsoon climate, with highs in the warmest months reaching into the 90s Fahrenheit and the colder months dipping into the 70s Fahrenheit. The region sees over 90 inches of rainfall per year. The Bandula Barb shares its habitat with brown snakehead, black ruby barb, giant danio, rock frog, red side barb, water lily, long-snouted barb, Java moss, water beetle, rubber tree, common raspora, soca barb, water trumpet, common spiny loach, katala, Sri Lanka birdwing, kumbuk, Ceylon rose butterfly, bamboo, and many, many more. As mentioned, human encroachment and habitat transformation, destruction, and fragmentation are the primary drivers of Bandula Barb population loss. Its habitat has seen a near total transformation. First deforestation, then agricultural development, rice paddies, and rubber plantations. Deforestation specifically affects the barb as it removes the waterborne root systems that protect their spawning sites. It decreases leaf litter and other organic debris in the water that promotes algae growth, their food. Fewer trees decreases shade and increases water temperature. These are habitat restrictions for the Bandula barb. Deforestation also increases the rate of soil erosion and the speed of water flow, both factors that affect successful egg laying and reproduction. Historically, agricultural development has exposed the Bandula barb's water habitat directly to chemical runoff. So the use of pesticides and fertilizers in the surrounding rice paddies and rubber plantations pollutes the stream water, altering the water chemistry, proving lethal to the fish and to their food. Human-induced climate change is an increasing threat. Western Sri Lanka is already seeing disrupted weather patterns of heavier rainfalls and also longer dry seasons, both. So more rain results in faster water flow that disrupts the barb's spawning, and these longer periods of drought threaten to seasonally dry up the barb's habitat altogether. Fortunately, the Bandula barb has seen significant and remarkable conservation activity. In 2014, the IUCN, in collaboration with the Sri Lankan Ministry of Environment, the Department of Wildlife Conservation, the Forest Department, and local communities, initiated a species recovery plan. This included an education program for local residents, and for the local agriculture industry, which resulted in the adoption of organic farming techniques that have mitigated chemical pollution runoff into the stream. As part of this program, locals have also been reforesting the stream's banks with native vegetation. In 2014, a translocation program successfully moved a small portion of the Bandula Barb's population to nearby waters in a proposed forest reserve, and that population is naturally spawning and thriving. And recently, in June 2025, the government declared the Bandula Barb's original habitat a protected wilderness site. Nevertheless, the Bandula Barb has been considered critically endangered on the IUCN Red List since 1996, and their overall population is in decline. Our most recent counts estimate that less than 1,400 Bandula Barb remain in the wild. Information for today's show about the Bandula Barb was compiled from the Proceedings of the Postgraduate Institute of Scientific Research Congress at the University of Peradeniya, Sri Lanka, from the IUCN, BioArchive 2023, from the Journal of the Sri Lankan Branch of the Royal Asiatic Society, Volume 66, Number 2, from BMC Ecology and Evolution, Volume 21, from the journal Water, Volume 12, Number 1, from the Daily Mirror, Sri Lanka, and from Wikipedia. And so now I would like to perform some music in hopes of holding space to be in contemplation of the other lives with whom we share our fragile earth. I do not intend to put meaning upon or extract meaning from the Bandula Barb. Instead, I just want this music to express my awe for other life. And so I will pause in the space of sound and reflection, and I warmly invite you to join me. honor the life force of the Bandula Barb. I will commit its human name to my record. I am so grateful to have shared time on our planet with this tiny, beautiful being. I lament the ways in which I and my species have harmed and diminished the species, and I grieve. So in the name of the Bandula Barb, I pledge to reduce my consumption, my carbon footprint, and my wastefulness. I pledge to acknowledge and attempt to address the costs of both my actions and inactions. And I pledge to resist the harm of plant and animal kin and their habitat by individuals, corporations, and governments. I forever pledge my song to the witness and memory of all life, to a broad celebration of biodiversity, and to the total liberation of all beings. This has been Biotic Goodbyes. Thank you for listening. Until next time, let's take care of each other and all of our kin.